Frightful facts about Nosferatu. The 1922 German silent film shamelessly plagiarized Bram Stoker's novel, Dracula. But if Nosferatu had never been made, the vampire genre so embedded in pop culture might never have taken off. Before Bela Lugosi ever donned his Dracula cape, there was Max Schreck's pointy-eared Count Orlok, the villain in the 1922 German silent film Nosferatu, a symphony of horror. It's now recognized as one of the greatest horror movies ever made, and inspired the revamped version, starring Bill Skarsgård as Orlok and Willem Dafoe as the Van Helsing-like Professor Alban Eberhard von Franz, and opening in theaters on December 25, 2024. The original Nosferatu has a complicated legacy because it shamelessly plagiarized Bram Stoker's Dracula. And yet, if it had never been made, the vampire genre so embedded in pop culture might never have taken off. Let's take a bite out of a truly terrifying classic. 1. Nosferatu wasn't the first film to be based on Bram Stoker's Dracula. Dracula, published in 1897, earned Bram Stoker praise, but not much cash. It sold around 30,000 copies per year for the next 3 decades, and most of its profits bypassed Stoker and went directly to his publisher. Stoker remained hobbled by debt until his death in 1911. 10 years later, Stoker's notorious Count made his film debut. The Hungarian film Dracula Halala, Dracula's Death, was the earliest attempt to adapt the 1897 novel into a motion picture. Directed by Karoli Latje, it tells the story of a young woman who has a terrible nightmare after she crosses paths with the eponymous villain, who is an unstable musician rather than a suave aristocrat. No copies of the silent film survive, though publicity photos and reviews have been preserved. Second, Nosferatu brazenly ripped off Stoker's novel. While serving in World War I, German artist Alban Grau met a Serbian farmer who claimed to be the son of a vampire. He never forgot the story, and when he formed the movie company Prana Film with producer Enrico Diekman in 1921, they chose A Vampire Tale as their first feature film. Grau felt that an adaptation of Dracula would be ideal, and didn't bother securing the necessary rights from Stoker's estate. Grau believed that he could avoid a lawsuit by tweaking Dracula's plot in a few key places. The setting was changed from Victorian London to 17th century Germany. The script did away with the book's original ending and Van Helsing character, and the key players were renamed. Count Dracula became Count Orlok. The full title, Nosferatu, a symphony of horror, was inspired by a term that appears twice in the movie's source material. Stoker mistakenly thought Nosferatu meant vampire in Romanian. Third, Nosferatu's vampire was played by a little-known actor. Much of Max Schreck's life and film career is a mystery. According to a biographer, Stefan Eickhoff, the actor's colleagues regarded him as a loyal, conscientious loner with an offbeat sense of humor and a talent for playing the grotesque. Schreck appeared in more than 40 films, but is best remembered for his disturbing portrayal of Count Orlok. In fact, Schreck means fright in German. His performance was so effective that some viewers wondered if the obscure actor was an actual vampire in real life. Film critic Ado Kiru popularized this idea in 1953 when he wrongly claimed that the name of the actor who played Murnau's monster had never been revealed. Who hides behind the character of Nosferatu? Maybe Nosferatu himself, he wrote. 4. Florence Stoker sued the studio. Florence Stoker, the author's widow and estate executor, received an anonymous package a few days after Nosferatu's premiere containing one of its promotional posters. It bore the inflammatory line, "Freely adapted from Bram Stoker's Dracula." She took immediate legal action. She joined the British Incorporated Society of Authors, which hired a German lawyer to go after Prana Film. The plan was to sue the company for copyright infringement, but its manager's bad business decisions had already bankrupted the studio. When it became clear that Stoker would never recoup any damages, she tried to have all copies of the film destroyed. In 1925, a German court sided with her and ordered that every copy within that nation be burned. But just like Count Dracula, Nosferatu proved very difficult to kill. Over the next few years, copies turned up in the US and UK. A handful of screenings took place, mostly in the US, and Stoker relentlessly tracked down wayward copies of the movie and incinerated them. Despite her best efforts, Nosferatu lived on as pirated bootlegs. 5. Many soundtracks have been written for Nosferatu. When Nosferatu premiered in Berlin, it was accompanied by a live orchestra playing a score composed by Hans Erdmann. No recordings of the original soundtrack are known to exist. Over the years, Nosferatu has also received several alternative scores.
Watch the ayahuasca experience and discover what so many people are turning to for spiritual awakening. Find your copy to rent or buy on Amazon.